the first thing that we observed as we went into a lockdown, because I don't think many people realize that this is not a short-term impact. So in the beginning, we saw a moment to cloud, especially on what you could do from work from home. So we had a lot of discussions with customers because we have a very strong portfolio from a work from home, VDI, hybrid cloud perspective overall. So we had a lot of discussions in the beginning of the quarter. In Q1, this is April, May, June period. And as we started moving into Q2, I think it started sinking in that you have to have a long-term permanent strategy for people to work from anywhere, not only from home, because this is going to be the new reality. And that was, if you ask me, a boost for us, because those discussions in the first quarter started then translating into opportunities and the ramp up that we were expecting from on what would happen. What has happened is some of these solutions were available earlier. The pandemic accelerated the need for it. And I think one of the biggest things that happened is the trust factor that people will work from home is no longer a question overall. So we are finding, customers now balancing, and that is what is helping us overall as we, take this journey, is a balance between public and private or public and hybrid overall. And as I mentioned earlier, with the portfolio on HCI that spans across VMware, Nutanix, Microsoft, we are actually addressing a business outcome issue of a customer rather than a force fit of what we know. And that's given the momentum to the whole thing. Then you combine it, the other thing that we are observing, especially now, as we moved into Q3, is, the focus from a perspective of ERPs, because, and then the SAP migration that we do. And that's a very, very strong flavor for us on what we do there with SAP. It's a 360 relationship. I think that's what is now driving the momentum for us overall on an India basis. We've also seen this not only from a large enterprise, I think more important even from a channel partners perspective. So we are seeing a huge push. The initial part of it, because in a sense our lockdown was quite stringent. Right. That decision was taken much earlier, helped. So, of course, the first quarter was moment of goods and people. And then what happens is, it has a domino effect because things start piling up, supply chains get affected, and cash flows gets disrupted overall. So I think the initial part of the pandemic, those were the challenges overall.
If you see in this pandemic, it was about getting companies to work remotely, right? And that involved security. That involved making sure that the technology is. They could do exactly what they're doing at home versus at work. So the VDI was a very popular, I would say, technology that was used during this pandemic, right? But it wasn't just about providing the infrastructure to our customers. We have a services arm, and to ensure that because every customer is very unique. You can't just say here's a VDI, but guess what? I have 35,000 employees, and I don't have licenses right now to support 30,000 employees. So how do we work with the customer? Okay, let's take some of this into the cloud, take the other ones into VDI, and then over time, let's work out on the licensing and then repatriate this. And I'll give you an example that a very large system integrator in terms of technology company had to move about 30,000, 35,000 employees to work from home literally overnight. One of the things that we did was actually went in there, and this involved our entire one Lenovo. It was PCs, it was infrastructure around it, but making sure our services people were down there, managing the infrastructure, managing equipment, and to what I said earlier and what Vivek also alluded to, making sure new equipment on supply chain is absolutely pushed, so that we can focus on customers where it mattered the most. And obviously supply chain comes in there where it comes in, but priority was given like into health, into education. With cultural changes and obviously working from home and employee training can really prevent slip-ups due to negligence. but importance must be placed on having the right technology and ensuring employees are up to date with it. So look, many enterprises, as I said, rushed in to make sure that they were working remotely, leveraging the VPN technology. That is proven from a short-term fix. It's all right, but VDI, as I mentioned earlier, enables enterprise to clone a desktop hosted on a central server through which only authorized employees can access this data from any device anywhere. There's a big shift of companies that actually leverage VPN, but those thinking that security is very keen leverage that VDI. So this is a proven useful even for companies that have extremely lean IT departments.
Just to add to that, and I am not sure whether I should put it under a security perspective, but like we mentioned earlier, we control our own supply chain. And what you deliver to the customers and what chain does it go through and what are the processes and audits that you have in place plays a very, very important role in delivering a secure appliance, if I may say so, or a server to the customer overall. And that also helps tremendously.
There are areas that are a big focus. First is the Internet of Things. So I'm going to talk about typically the trends around 2021. So IoT is a big focus, and leveraging IoT. It's about data everywhere, right at the edge also. That's the second part. And on the edge, we have a lot of solutions like our SC350. I'll give you an example. We have a full-fledged powerhouse server that can do everything at the edge that it can do in a data center. Now, this wasn't the case before because there was a lot of people using repurposed servers or solutions that were in a data center, and they ruggedized that and then put it in the edge. But that's not what we did. We actually build edge servers from the ground up, right? Specifically around edge, and there's more to come. And this is also very important because you want to do a lot of AI analysis at the edge. For example, if you're in a security, in a CCTV, or in a windmill, in a train station, you want to do a level of your computing around there. So edge is a second part. The third one would be actually the cloud. It continues on, but the cloud is really about the hybrid cloud. Where you have certain workloads up in the cloud, some on-prem, but it's not just one cloud, but it's multi-cloud and how you actually manage that. So that's a big trend where customers are going to continue to go focus on. As I mentioned about the edge and the Internet of Things, one of the things that's going to fuel that is the fifth generation 5G mobile communication, right? So 5G is going to, add fuel and be a catalyst for edge computing, Internet of Things, where you're going to do a lot of the compute at the edge, and IoT is going to leverage that. And last but not least, a big focus is, again, Vivek talked about the genomics. Again, I want to echo what Vivek says. It's a part of my job that I really love. It's about helping humanity's greatest challenges, whether it's weather, solving terrible diseases.